Hey guys, with the upcoming banners in 3.6, Nahida is making her first rerun, so the main question is, should you summon? As a player who has summoned Nahida when she first came out, just 5 months ago, I'll tell you all about my experience with this character and if you should or should not summon. Now, ever since getting her, I have pretty much been using her every day in all of my teams. She's been an amazing character to use and I have not regretted pulling her. So, let me take you on a journey with Nahida through Sumeru. I'll show you how she works, I'll show you what kind of teams you can expect to run her in, what kind of weapons and artifacts you can put on her, and most importantly, should you summon on the Dendro Archon? Let's have a look. So this is my Nahida, she's level 90 and she's not built that well. I've had her for 5 months, but I stopped farming her fairly quickly because I got what I wanted on her. The Elemental Master is 898 and I think that's fine. It could be more, but I think it works pretty well with that. For weapons, I'm using Wandering Evans Star. Artifacts is the Deepwood Memory set. She is, well, she has no constellations, and my talents are 5, 10, 10. So she's double crowned, as she should be. Now for the showcase, this is the Nahida I'll be using. So first of all, let's just have a quick look at the skills here. The attack is nothing special, although it is a Dendro infused attack because she's a catalyst, which is already pretty nice to have, especially for the reactions. She's a reaction based character. The second skill is pretty interesting. If you just tap it, it doesn't AoE Dendro damage, but if you hold it, it aims and you can link enemies together with the hold skill. The burst is also pretty interesting. Don't let all the text fool you, it's not actually as complicated as you think. Basically using Pyro, Electro, Hydro characters with Nahida will increase the capability of your burst and make it a little bit better depending on how many you're using. What's interesting about the burst is the energy cost is quite low and so is the CD, and the actual base duration is longer than the CD, so you can theoretically keep it up at all times. Then we have some of her talents here. Compassion Illuminated. This basically means your characters that are on field with Nahida will be getting some elemental mastery out of her. Awakening Elucidated is basically your Nahida will be getting some bonus damage and some bonus crit rate on your hold skill, depending on how much elemental mastery you have beyond 200. And lastly, on all things meditated, you can pick up plants with Nahida from range, and you can also read people's minds. This is the team comp that I will be using. It's Nahida, Yelan, Kuki Shinobu, and Shinchu. So this is a team comp I've been using recently. It's actually pretty nice. It's a Hyper Bloom team, fairly basic. Nahida applies Dendro to everyone, Yelan and Shinchu apply a bunch of Hydro, and then Cookie pops the cores and everyone dies basically. So let's have a quick rundown of the skills in action. I found some treasure hoarders here, so I'll hold the skill down, it links them together. So then you want to apply some reactions here, and then the linked characters should be taking damage. I mean, you can see right here just the power of Nahida. I found some more enemies here, so you link them together, you apply some Hydro, and then you pop the cores. There we go. It's a fairly basic combo, and it's a pretty simple team. Of course, you don't have to use Yelan, you can use Barbara even. It's fairly free-to-play friendly, I would say. So I think the first point to make is that Dendro right now is very powerful, and it's the current meta really. There's a lot of possible reactions with Dendro. It introduced a lot of new reactions in Sumeru. You can use Electro characters, you can use Hydro characters, Pyro characters, or the Dendro characters. it's got so many possible reactions and so many possible teams as well. It's quite free to play friendly, to be honest, with the teams that you can use. I mean, you can see I'm using Shinchu and Cookie, but you can very easily use Barbara. You can very easily use free-to-play characters like Shangling, even Bennett. I think everyone has Bennett by now. Decent with Bennett too. And because Dendro is so powerful, this is the Dendro Archon. Nahida is obviously an Archon, and I think that's the second point to make, is that she's an Archon, and Archons are typically very powerful characters. They are typically characters that people want. They are typically characters that represent their element and are most proficient in it. She has decent base stats as well for an Archon, of course. She spreads Dendro, she applies Dendro very, very well. And if you're into all the lore and story, she has 2 story quest lines, and she's very prominent in the Sumeri storyline as well. So there's a lot to kind of dig into on that side. Another thing is that Nahida is actually quite easy to build. I think she's quite simple to build. I don't think it will take you too long to farm for her artifacts or the weapons. She does a lot of damage with some free-to-play friendly weapons as well. You don't really need to invest as much as you would in, say, a hard carry or a big DPS character like Ayaka. She doesn't really need that much investment. I mean, you can see here I have 900 elemental mastery. That's not too hard to get. So looking at the weapons, I do recommend the Wandering Evenstar here, basically because it gives you elemental mastery, but also the passive skill gives you a bit more attack. Her skills mainly work off of elemental mastery, but also attack. The whole skill scales a little bit on attack as well, but it is mostly elemental mastery. And the passive on this weapon is pretty good. There's a lot of elemental mastery to be had. It is a 4-star weapon, and when it comes back in a weapon banner, I do recommend to pull on it. Another weapon you can use is the Mappa Mare, just purely because it has a lot of elemental mastery and also gives you some damage bonus when triggering reactions. It's not too bad. However, Sacrificial Fragments is another one. If you do manage to get this one, obviously the Mappa Mare you can craft, but Sacrificial Fragments you need to get. It also gives you a lot of elemental mastery. It's pretty good. Obviously resetting your hold skill can be quite nice. It's not necessary, but it's, you know, it's decent. I've also seen some people recommending the magic guide. I've not tried it myself, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. I mean, the elemental mastery would be less overall. You'd be getting a bit less than the 4-star weapons, but you know, the basic the passive effect here is pretty decent, I'd say. And at the end of the day, it is an elemental mastery weapon, so this is exactly what you want on Nahida. Having a look at the artifacts here, you want to run the Deepwood Memory set. I'm running the full 4-piece set here, and in terms of actual stats on it, you just want elemental mastery as your main stat on the first 3 pieces here. So I'm running elemental mastery on each of these artifacts. Then you want elemental mastery substats on your feather and flower. So I've got 42 on this one. Unfortunately, only 16 on this one. These artifacts, you know, these aren't very good. I'll be honest with you, but they don't have to be. As long as you gain the elemental mastery, a little bit of attack where you can get your attack, and then get crit rate, crit damage. Obviously, that's pretty nice to have, although it's not necessary. Just focus on elemental mastery, a little bit of energy recharge. Her burst is quite cheap, but the cooldown is short as well. So a little bit of energy recharge, a little bit of attack, crit rate, but you know, you want that elemental mastery. This is the most important thing you want. But like I say, my artifacts aren't that good. I didn't farm for these too long. but they don't need to be. She does what I want her to do. She does a lot of damage, even with shitty substats, and I'm fairly happy with it. In terms of talents, you want to focus on these two. Her basic attack isn't that useful. Focus on her hold skill first, then the burst, I would say. That's how I prioritized it anyway, and it's pretty good. But you do want to use both of them. They are both very good. But yeah, if you have to choose, the hold skill is probably better. In terms of constellations, C2 is what the big constellation is for this character. So if you are wanting to go for multiple copies, or if you already have Nahida and you're planning on summoning again, I would definitely go for C2. If I had the Primos, I would go for it myself, but I do not. However, this is the main one that you want. However, having said all that, and having praised Nahida so much, I will tell you why you should not summon, why you may not want to summon on this occasion. So, Archons, she's an Archon. They come back quite often. Archons do come back more often than other characters, and they are quite popular, and they do come back. So, you know, she'll be back before you know it. It's only been 5 months, right, since she released, and she's already back here. Zhongli, Venti, Raiden, they come back very often. So even if you don't have the Primos now, or even if you're going for someone else currently, and you won't have enough for Nahida, well, you're not going to miss out, because she'll be back. Now, why else should you not summon for Nahida right now? Perhaps you just hate Dendro. If you don't like Dendro, if you don't like Dendro reactions, if you're not using Dendro characters, you think Nahida is not for you, you don't like Tainari or Kole or Alhaitham, you know, you're not a fan of Baiju when he comes out, just you know, you don't like it. Maybe you're just using cryo teams, maybe you're just using pure pyro, you know, maybe you're just a big fan of Vaporize or Melt or any other reactions that don't involve Dendro. And on that point, actually, another reason why you might not want to summon for Nahida is if you main Cryo or Anemo teams. If you love your Kazuha, you love your Ayaka, Shenhe, even Wanderer, and you're purely building Cryo, maybe Freeze teams, if you're building some Anemo teams that don't involve Dendro, you know, do keep in mind Dendro will not help you with those teams. Dendro does not react with Cryo or Geo or Anemo. If you're playing mono Geo with Ito and the rest, you know, you don't need Nahida, do you? So if you do main Cryo, Anemo or Geo, and those are your teams, those are your favourite characters, well, Nahida may not be for you. So, having said all of that, I've given you the pros of why you should pull, I've given you some of the cons, why you shouldn't, I've shown you some of the gameplay, I've talked about the artifacts and weapons and what Nahida does and how she works. Let's have a look at the teams and then we'll conclude. So this is one team that you could use with Nahida. If you do want to substitute or change it up, you can. She's very versatile. You can use other teams, other characters. So let's see. You can use Shangling. You can use Bennett with Nahida. You can basically look at your Electro, Pyro, and Dendro and Hydro characters. Look at those characters and then see how they could fit with Nahida. You can build Bloom teams with Dendro and Hydro characters. Nahida's very good for those. You can build Hyper Bloom teams with Hydro and Electro, like this one here. You can even try Burgeon. If you got Dia, go for it. Try some Burgeoning. Personally, I've been using this team as my comfy, just cozy team. Zhongli puts up a shield, you're indestructible. Nahida links everyone, Yoimiya Yelan do the rest. It's such a simple and cozy team. I've been enjoying this one really a lot. It's not a meta team or anything, it's just something I've created myself, but I've been enjoying this team a lot. And if you do have these 5 stars, I would recommend trying it. It's quite good. But if you do have these characters, you know, Barbara will work really well, Shinchu will work, Cookie will work. Maybe you have Mona, maybe you have Raiden, even Kuching. She's really good with Nahida. Fischl is amazing with Nahida for the Hyper Blooms. Quicken and Aggravate teams, Dendro and Electro, you can do a lot of nice stuff with Quicken and Aggravate. Kuching and Fischl will do that really well. Hell, you can try Beidou, you can chuck a Yao Yao in to do some healing and some extra Dendro reactions, get that elemental resonance. If you're trying Burgeon, if you're a madman that's trying Burgeon, go for Toma, why not? Do some Dia reactions, maybe Shangling or Diluc. She's so versatile. I will conclude saying this, Nahida is worth it, she's free to play, friendly. Most people are free to play, or dolphins. Even if you're a dolphin, Battle Pass Welkin, you will like Nahida. I'll tell you from my personal experience, ever since I got Nahida, I've never looked back. I've benched Kazuha, I've benched even Raiden, I've experimented with so many teams. She's so versatile, she lets you use these new characters you've never used before. I never would have thought I would be using Cookie and Shinchu, you know, in 2023, if not for Nahida. She's easy to build, she's flexible, she's very, very powerful, does a lot of damage, the reactions are amazing. I don't think you will regret summoning for Nahida. So ultimately, go for it. I would summon, if you don't have the primos, wait, maybe you'll get them before she goes away. Unless you really can't get her now, she's an Archon, she'll be back in no time, and when she's back, try and get her, she's really worth it. But that is it for this video, guys. I hope I have helped you make your mind up on the next banner. I hope you get your Nahida, and I hope everything will work out for you. If you're going for Constellations, get that C2 if you can. I might be pulling for Constellations, I haven't decided yet, we'll see what happens, but the banner is out very, very soon, and I hope you can get what you need. So thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.